Evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 4, I think we're on, of series 2 of Dirty Talk. Thanks for tuning in on the Monday evening. Appreciate that. Mind you, we're in lockdown. I mean, what else is there to do apart from just start arguing with the missus, I suppose? Tommy just nearly choked on his drink when I said that. Maybe that's what he's been doing today. Listen, typical Tommy Searle fashion, we're getting him on just after I do the intros here. Big thank you to FXR for getting involved as well as Bell Helmets. You've just seen that. So thanks for them. But without further ado, let's get him on because he made it by the skin of his teeth. There he is, and he's itching his teeth. You right, Tom?
Right.
Yeah. So busy. You're busy, man. Like, you might be in lockdown, but you are running around. That's parenting for you, see?
Yeah.
Now you know what the old man went through.
No, but I'm all right. I'm keeping busy. It's not too bad for me, to be fair. Just the whole lockdown thing's not been that bad. I was riding a little bit during lockdown 1, and then this one's not been quite as good purely because it's winter, isn't it? So most tracks will be closed anyway. It's been that cold and that icy, but I've been cracking on. Done a little bit of enduro today with the boys, Billy and Ed, and so that was all right. I'm going to ride tomorrow. So I went to Devon last week down with 4P. So yeah, I've been doing enough really to keep me busy, enjoying it.
Yeah, I know you've been keeping in shape. I also know, because obviously, we all speak in the industry. I also know that the fact that you lot DT and that you got opportunities to get out and ride tracks. So you're really starting to annoy some of your rivals. I know this.
Yeah.
Because you're posting up ride videos and they can't get out. But that's the advantage of being on
the way it goes, really. I suppose. But to be fair, I've not rode many tracks. I've rode Ed's and I've rode that one at down at Dave's, down Little Hempstead or something it was called.
Looks good. It looks really good. I've never been.
2 really good days down there. I want to go back down next week, but overall it's been, like I said, it's shit for everyone with the time out in it, really, with the ride and stuff, and especially if you've got access to a track, which I'm lucky enough to have at Ed's house, then I'm one of the more privileged ones,
And
I know that anyway, but I'm just trying to do my job as much. A lot of people are out in Spain now. I know everyone's sort of trying to head out. Some people have been there. So just doing my best to prepare as good as I can, like I always do, and try and stay busy as well. To be fair, I like riding my bike. So the more I can ride, the better. And I'm lucky that Ed's rides quite well in the wet because even in the winter, I'm still able to ride there. And it's always really technical. I've not really fixed it. To be fair, I've been riding all the time, but I started after, I think I got my bike on like the 7th of January because I didn't ride since Fat Cats. And then we was waiting for all the new stuff, but not rushing at all for that. So I got the bike in like the 7th of February and I've sort of I've done a day a week for the first like 3 weeks, and then I've done 2 days last week, and that's it really. So taking it steady, I think, with the season, how it's going to be drawn out again. I'm in no rush to sort of really knuckle down on the riding side just yet. I'll start a bit more now. I want to ride 2 times a week now, and maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe if I can get, depending where I go, I might still go to Spain or I might stay in England. But if I can start riding 3 times a week in like 3 weeks' time, I'll be happy with that.
I like the way that you said Ed's place is quite technical. For the average, I mean, obviously years back when you first started riding up there.
I didn't know Lewis Hall come up one day. I was thinking you might a couple of years ago.
I've been up there a couple of times, but I've actually quoted Ed's track and what you train on to quite a few people because this is when I was doing a bit of rider coaching and they complain about the state of the track.
Oh, this is bad now.
I used to use you as reference to say, listen, you ought to see the track that Tommy rides. Like it's horrid. It's lethal. If you come off round there, it's like you'll be like crashing on a cheese grater.
Yeah, it is bad. In the summer, it's so bad. And I actually had a huge crash there about 3 weeks before the Hallstone Park this year, and concussed myself a little bit. But it was just massive out the blue because my front wheel come up a little bit. It dropped it real early. Or no, I didn't even know. Actually, why it happened is the video that Billy Bolt done on his Super Enduro track. So Ed got a load of lights in and Billy got lights in to light his track up so he could do it at night. And the lights are on one of my tabletops. So I was going round the tabletop, and I thought, wow, that's a bit better, because all the jumps at mine are pretty nice takeoffs, and they've so bedded in there, they've been there that long, they don't really rut up the takeoffs. So the lights were on it, and so we was just going around it, and everything was going fine. And I thought, wow, this is way better, more technical now, because instead of just sitting down at the face of the jump, which I tend to do, and they're smooth, so it allows you to do that. I thought, oh, we're going around this tabletop, and then out the blue, I must have wheelied because it started getting choppy. Dropped the front wheel in a bit of long grass where I didn't see, and there was a big rock in it. Next thing, I've cartwheeled so hard onto my face, sort of thing. A massive crash because of the rocks on the track. But normally, I think it helps pay attention so much, because if you lose concentration for 1 second around there, something can go wrong. So it teaches me to pay attention all like 100% of the time, because with the stones, they come out the ground so quickly, and even
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you practice on something that's so technical, so difficult, required so much concentration and throttle control, when you get to the weekend, particularly when you're doing GPs, when you got to a GP weekend and you roll out on a perfectly manicured track, you're just thinking, well, I'm having it. There's nothing I'm just flat out everywhere.
No, it's I think it was really good when I first started riding, and then even more so now. Just good that it takes the weather. In the summer, it gets a bit dry and really rocky, doesn't it? You've been up there, I think, when it was really dry years and years ago. Did you come up before Destinations that time? Was you?
Yeah, that was the time when we was working, more actively on moto that whole time. When we was doing that. So what was that? Would have been 06, I think. Yeah.
I think you come up the 2000. It was the 2008 Destinations. Weren't you up there before the Stewart and that come?
That was it. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
that was like back then. I think, fuck, I wish the ground could be like that now. All the topsoilers, because we had Barkley come in, scrape all the jumps.
It's worse now.
Worse, because it breaks away the topsoil, and now it's just pure rock. But with it being pure rock, it drains so well in the winter. That's where we're lucky. So it's sort of awful in the summer, and it just drains really well in the winter. So it does the job,
It'll soon learn you, yeah.
And for a hard pat track, it changes so quick, even if it's just me, because if you go to a normal like clay hard pat track, if I was riding it and it's just me up there, you'd carve the perfect line around the whole track, and you can almost go around it with your eyes closed. Where with it being how it is, the ground, the rocks just kick out the ground. So no matter what happens, even if it's just you up there, the ruts get all choppy, get all square edgy. It never rides nice, That's good. It's good. I wish the ground was better, but it is perfect practice.
Yeah, definitely. And you obviously look, before we talk about, because I want to talk about your vlogs that you're now doing. Obviously, that's always cool, and your relationship with Billy and Ed and all that seems a lot of fun. Before we get onto that, anybody watching, we've got a fair few viewers now. Listen, if you want to punch a question over to me and Tommy, it's quite simple. You just write it on the Facebook comments below or on YouTube. We get to see it. It pops up on the screen here. Getting some coming in. Ed Warren, right on cue. Is this the bloke from? Well, I might as well just pull it up. I don't know who Ed Warren is. Is this the bloke from Billy Bolt's Vlogs? I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. So Ed's already on the case, but we'll be talking some more about that. So we're getting some questions come in.
I don't know who that is either. He's obviously
I think he's a wannabe. That surely is not. That's not him in that profile.
No, it won't be in his profile picture. Well, that was him a few years ago.
No, that's not his
profile picture.
No, what he's done there is he has photoshopped his head on somebody else's body. Hasn't he?
He's had that picture on his profile for 10 years now, bless him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when he was at his sharpest. He didn't breathe. He held his breath for at least a minute doing that picture.
He's been upset today, Ed has. I don't know why. You should ask him.
Was he moody?
Yeah, he's been upset all day. He didn't want to film my vlog today, really, but he.
So we'll get onto that in a minute. One of the first things I would say, like we just said, you're bombing about a little bit now. You're getting older. How are you finding balancing life as a dad and now a motocross rider? Obviously, kicking back on GPs has made a massive difference to your time. Not all traveling all around the world. Obviously, enjoying being a parent, but are the dames? How's the sleep deprivation? All that?
No, it's all right. Obviously, Soph does the majority of it, so I'm really lucky to see how good she is with Alfie. But but then he gets up early. I mean, now a couple of days ago, he woke up at like 8 a.m. was like, bloody hell, that was good. But then this morning he done like 6 o'clock, but it's sort of hit and miss really. But he's good. He goes to sleep, I don't know, 6:30, 7, and he's up at 5:30 to sort of 7. So it's not too bad at all. It's a little bit early. I'd like another half hour or something. But at the minute we do like 1 day on, 1 day off. So I'll get up, do the early shift, which has been working. We've only done that since my race I stopped before, so I've done it all really.
But to be fair, since I've yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah, you're a father. It's probably the most best thing you could ever do in your life, isn't it? What since I've known you, which was I think you were 15 or 14 when I first met you at Matcham's, and my very first impression was not your riding ability, and obviously that was quite striking, but it was more of your work ethic. Even then, you didn't mince about. You was much more shy then, obviously. But you were there. It was a horrible day. No bitching and whining like I do fine. But maybe not to me. But you still get. Yeah. I've known enough youngsters at that age that are chasing the dream, and yet they're already kind of going, "Oh, I don't want to be here." There was sort of none of that with you. It was just get the motos done, get into it. Yeah,
when I was well, from the whole background, my dad never raced, or my family never raced, or was into bikes as such. So we just sort of knuckled down. My dad works hard, or my brothers work hard, and it's sort of we just used to race, and I just used to love riding my bike. I remember being sat in all my gear when I got back from school, waiting for Dad to get back from work to ride, and Mum would just say, "Nah, you got to wait till Dad gets back," and I'd just sit there waiting and wait for his car to pull up the drive, and then we had a little bit of land, like 2 acres of land. And
so you were already kitted up. You was already like literally ready to go.
As soon as I got back from school, I'd get the bike around. Mum would say, "Don't go on that until Dad gets back." So then I'd wait till Dad gets back, and he'd get back about, I don't know, whatever time he got back in the summer days, but about 4:30 or 5 from work. And then I'd just ride around the garden in the evenings, but it was non-stop really. And then we went every weekend racing. We got to buy a little Maliguti for Christmas, me and my older brother. He's 4 years older than me. We used to ride around the garden, and then we found out you could race them. We chucked it in the back of his van on the wall of bricks and stuff, and we went to a race, raced, and then we sort of got the bug, and we just raced as a family forever, really. All through the schoolboys, travelled everywhere. Dad used to travel everywhere, take me practicing, but only so we could race. We just loved going racing. And that never stopped. Then I was obviously always quite fast anyway, early, and then we never used to have the best bikes and stuff. Sometimes people would like laugh at the bikes when we pulled up, and then after they'd all come around looking at the bikes, they'd be like, "What's this kid racing?" And then I'd smoke everyone, and then they'd come around and actually like have a good look at it, even though it was still a bag of shit. But I just used to smoke everyone on it.
Do you think that helped you? Do you think actually?
Yeah.
Like, because I've had this conversation before, and obviously, I work for Kawasaki. You raced for them for a long time. They put their hand up and say, "Look, we haven't touched the 85 or developed it in years." I mean, the engine, what you was racing was what you could probably still get now.
Yeah.
But but they obviously got a good chassis and handle well, and you just ride the wheels off it, and that's probably not having all this fast bike makes you become a better rider.
Yeah, I don't. I think in the schoolboys it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
at all, really. I think if you get a kid that's good on a bike, he's good on a bike. You're better off a kid racing a slow bike as fast as he can than a kid being scared of his a really fast engine. 100%. It was like, just for instance, my little brother used to have an XR50. He used to ride around the garden. Just when we rode, we always used to play. He's 10 years younger than me, my youngest brother. And then we got him a KTM 50. He went on that. He never wanted to ride again. And it took him so long to get his confidence back, to get back on like a CRF 50. And then he's rode a KLX, but he never really got into racing just because of how fast that KTM 50 was. And then, but for me, what did we do? We just raced really. I didn't have a bad bike, but we just never had the best bikes. And Dad wanted a mechanic, but he just done everything. And I used to ride the bikes hard as a kid. I was flat out, and we used to ride so much, or try and ride a lot. So but it definitely helped. I would always say, I always battled with everyone in the schoolboys. I never just smoked any championship I ever done, you know. Throughout the E5s, I used to race like Craig Cook and say like Thomas Matthews. There was a few Team Green kids I used to race, like Charlie Wood. I always raced for the championships. I normally won the championship, but it'd always be a race, you know. I'd never just clear off. And then when I got to, I'd race with like Ray Rowson was my last year in the 125s, and I always used to race Ray Rowson. Every weekend we'd battle for that sort of spot. And then all of a sudden I went to the adult class, and I got on a Molson bike. So I rode for Molson, and I went for all Team Green from the 85s. And then I went on to Molson Kawasaki, and then I got a really good bike and a mechanic then. And I just took a huge step, you know. I think everyone else always had quite good bikes because they was racing at a top level already in the schoolboys. So they made sure they had good bikes. And the step I made when I got on that like 250F was huge. And no one else really made that sort of step. And then, yeah, I found out how to train properly and ride properly with Jamie Dobb. And I just you know, made steps.
Yeah, you did. I mean, I heard of you in youth motocross, but you weren't necessarily doing all the major nationals and whatever.
We never travelled.
I knew of you, but you want setting the youth scene alight, which goes to show actually, like you know, parents and riders really don't need to put as much emphasis on it as they think they do.
No, not at all. Doesn't matter. No one cares. Do you know? Yeah. It's you were wrapped up in it, obviously, as a family, but teams aren't looking down as much as they think, and you need to be good right now. Do you know?
Yeah.
People look and people know and people talk over the years when you're going to get onto an 85 that they'll know who's coming up, and you'll show in time. You know, if someone wants to look for that sort of talent, they know where to look for it, sort of thing. But
yeah, totally.
You do your best. You ride and you work hard as whatever it is, a family or the kid yourself. You know, when you start getting 12, 13, 14 years old, it will shine through.
Yeah. Listen, we got some good questions coming in now, because I want to speak to you definitely about the AMA Supercross and your take on that. Mainly because obviously you're doing these vlogs at the minute, and you've just done I think today it's just come out, the second part of your American trip.
Yeah, nice.
I won't say trip because you was over there, so we'll get onto that towards the end. But people are being decent enough to throw some questions in, so I don't always get to do all of them. But Ray White, is that wine, Jeff? Yes, it is. That's why it looks like I'm wearing lipstick. I'm on a bit left over from last night. I'm on a, what's that? A Saint Joseph, good vintage 2005. Looks like I'm wearing lipstick. Anyway, enough about what I'm drinking. Let's go back to one of the first questions. Barry Hollingsworth has posted this. Tommy, do you think you were quicker before you went to the States, while you were there, or when you came back? When do you think you was at your best there?
I don't know, tricky. I was definitely quicker while I was in the States than when I went. I think I had 2 good years before I went to America, and obviously I was young and still progressing. And then my first year in the outdoors in America, I was really fast. Even watching the videos back now that Ed's put out, fuck, I was fast in some of those. Like I just every time on the track, even we was watching like, bloody hell, you used to go for it. And I was like, yeah, it was all I knew, sort of thing. The actual year when I was really, really good, but I struggled a lot with arm pumping that first year in America. I don't know why. I never had it in my career. I don't know whether it was new tracks and the day format all happened so quick, and maybe being a bit nervous. But the following year is when I was really, really fast. Coming into the AMA Nationals in 2010, I was really like at the top of my game, sort of thing. And so I was good then, but I was good when I raced Hurlings. You know, I think that year I was pretty on form. I had no injuries or stuff. I trained well. We had a good bike, good team. So I would say probably that was the fastest I was on the 250. I would imagine.
I mean, yeah, that day that I know it was home GP, and home GPs make such a difference.
Yeah,
I was never running at the front like you, but I've raced enough to know the difference that a crowd can also pull you along. And that day you beat him at Matterley, that was a special day. You know, you beat him fair and square. You handed it to him, and I actually do remember, because you're never too one at that age when you were younger for letting your emotions show too much in public. But you were buzzing after that second.
Yeah, I remember even more so. It was 2 weeks before I raced in Czech Republic, and the sort of championship was dwindling away anyway at that point, because I had 3 bike DNFs that season, all before the British GP, and then he had in Latvia a couple of weeks before I had 2 DNFs. So it set me back massively in the championship, and then it was Czech Republic, and I took Jeffrey out in a corner, and then he caught me up from like 20 seconds behind and passed me, and then I still finished second, but for him to catch me from that far behind on a hard pack track was sort of didn't happen, and I was just generally really tired, really shattered. Like, I remember being in a hire car on the way home, just saying, like, in tears over it, thinking, you know, it was win or lose sort of thing then. I remember being really upset about the day and wondering why I sort of got tired. And I thought, fuck, what's sort of happening? I shouldn't get tired. Like, I train too much, I ride too hard, I don't get tired. It just doesn't happen. But I really did that day. And then the next GP was Great Britain. So to come back from that sort of from him catching me way behind on a hard pack track to then go 1-1 was really, really big, like mega day. And with it being in England, obviously the weather, the atmosphere, and it was like that GP festival, wasn't it, that weekend? So it was a mega day, really. I couldn't, one of my best mate, or probably the best career.
Well, because you'd had ones before that. You know, obviously you had that great day at Donington as well.
At Donington. For some reason, Donington don't really stick in my.
You would have thought it would, though, wouldn't you? Because that was your first home GP.
Yeah, first win. Matcham's Park sticks in my. The year before, when I got my first podium, that's I sort of remember that, but I don't remember much about the day at Donington, which is strange. I don't know if it's because I wasn't racing for that. I remember racing, but I think it was like Jeremy Tarou in one race and Nicholas Alban. It was like Caroli had gone up. It just wasn't as intense battles, you know. It's like,
maybe that was it. Maybe it's because, like you said, like you'll take a win, and obviously a win's a win, but maybe subconsciously at the back of your mind, you're thinking, no, I didn't beat Caroli. I didn't earn it.
No, that's not what it was. It wasn't like, and there was no real battle that year. You know, Caroli was winning quite easily, and he went to 450 that race, and then it was then my turn to sort of win. I was the next guy, and then the pressure was on, because it was like, okay, Caroli's gone up. This is your chance now. You haven't won a GP yet. And then I won the GP, and it sort of, I remember the week before I went 2-2 in Ireland, nearly went 2-1, and Caroli passed me with 2 turns to go. So then I was thinking, what? But then he went up. So it's sort of like I was there. It was there for me to win, and I'd done it. So it was nice. But it doesn't stand out in my memory at all.
No, certainly the ones in the one at Matterley on the Kawasaki certainly did. Here's a question for you, from Gareth Key. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because I don't particularly. Anyway, this is Gareth's question. Does Tommy think his starts have always been his downfall? I'm going to dive in. I'm going to dive in before you even answer it and think, well, I've always had you down as a bloody good starter. So I don't know.
I think in the 450s, I never got as good starts as the 250s.
Granted, yeah.
So there were some years when I first went to 450 the first year in 2013, I was actually really, really fast. If you look at the results, I was always sort of round about 4th to sort of 6th every moto. But a lot of races I would come from probably 15th to 20th in the race. And my bike handled really good that year, and it was mega, but we struggled with starts that year. But on my 250, I never really struggled. I think I had a very good starting technique. The bike was good enough. I don't think it was quite as fast as the KTMs, but I was. We had a good technique how we got out to start on that bike, and I remember at Matterley I pulled 2 whole shots. You know, I was always in the mix on that. But maybe in MX1 a little bit my downfall. I think it would have helped me. I believe in MX1 if you get a good start, it makes such a huge difference, especially now, even more so than when I was in the car, when I was racing it, when I first went up in like 2013. You could still sort of come through. and I did in a lot of races. I've watched a few back. I come from like 15th to sort of third in a moto. But no, I wouldn't
There's
say
so
it's
many other things then, though, wasn't there? By the time you got into MX1, by the time you come back from America, and I'm not making excuses for you, and you wouldn't make any anyway, because I know what you like. But you know, by then, you were still sort of having to find your way a little bit again after some injuries and sort of setbacks.
Yeah.
And obviously in MX2, you had the ball rolling. It was hence why you could go to America on a good deal, because you earned the right from your
I had a good
GP mode, you know.
Yeah, all through my career, like the first say till my injury in my second year in America, it went so smooth. Do you know, like I was fortunate that I didn't have setbacks when I was young. You know, I didn't have a setback at 15, 16, 17. A lot of people do that, and it takes them a while. I sort of went from strength to strength, like 14, 15, 16, 17. I just banged out results, you know, like one after another, and just built momentum. And I was fortunate in that case. You know, I didn't have any setbacks, and then I had that one in America, which is the main reason why I came back from America, purely because injured my shoulder in the third round of Supercross. Then I got second the first race in outdoors. Then I injured my shoulder again, couldn't lift it because of the nerves. So that was my decision to come back to Europe then. But then again, I had 2 really straightforward years, no mishaps, no problems. And also my first year in the 450s was pretty smooth. I think I got 5th in the championship. But at one point I was sort of borderline 3rd in the championship. And I had a couple of, I think, bike problems and things. And then all of a sudden, it all sort of stemmed from in 2014, my bike had that problem on the jump in Thailand with the fuel problem. So I had a massive crash, broke my wrist, really bad. I still got the big scar there now.
Come over a bit. Oh God, yeah.
So I still got that scar there. That was from the big crash on that jump that Paul M was jumping in Thailand. Whereas the next year we was.
I remember it. I was comfortably watching on the sofa at home.
Yeah.
I threw out
crash there.
bombs for that.
And the problem is when you crash in ours now. So I was on CLS then. And the deal with my contract, you miss so many races. I think it was you miss 4 GPs, you start getting your money cut. So I then come back.
This is all the stuff that people don't know. This is good stuff.
Yeah. So after 4 GPs, your money goes down. I don't know what it was in the contract, but it was like big. So we said, okay, I got ready. I come back at Valkenswaard, and I rode around in Valkenswaard, and the team says, okay, like you're not ready. We can physically see that. I'd only been on a bike a couple of weeks again. But I actually could have raced my way through it. And then, anyway, I come back at Matley, the following GP instead. And then I got 6-6, my first race back. But then I'm not sure whether I got injured again that year or not. I don't think I did. I think I just was around 6th place finishes. And then that's when I signed for KTM. And so my season was obviously not too bad that year. Otherwise, factory KTM wouldn't sort of sign me. But and I actually looked, I can't remember, or Alex Lowe's, my friend, hurt his shoulder the other week. And I remember I done the same sort of thing to my shoulder, the AC joint. So I was looking at how long I was out with that injury. So I was going through results at KTM, and I looked through that year, and I had the crash in Thailand with the bike. And the following year, I had just a massive crash again in Thailand in the hospital. I broke my back. And then I come back after 4 weeks with my broken back to Arco, race there. Now I'd done another GP. Now I'd done my shoulder in Spain. So I'd done my back, then my shoulder, and then I come back from that, and I remember I broke my ribs in Longmore just from seat bouncing because I fractured them earlier without crashing as well, just a bar here. Then I raced in Longmore. So I said to Ed the other day, I said, fuck me, did I get injured that year? Like, no wonder KTM didn't want to keep me on the team. Because and I was trying so hard. You know, I remember coming back early, and it's one of those. What I was trying to say is, you're always on such a huge pressure to come back. Maybe the team don't directly say it, but they're there, and in the back of your mind, it gets to a point where you always wanted to earn that ride. You know, so you're on factory KTM. That was like, okay, I'm on factory KTM. This is my opportunity. Like, they don't come around very often. So you want to come back and you want to show everyone. And there's there was times where I was blazing fast still. But then you're not ready to fight at that level. You can still be fast for so many laps. And you're like, yeah, but if I can show them I can get it, then I can get the opportunity again. And
yeah, it's just
spirals, you know.
I guess it's just like, you know, a footballer or whatever. Not you're fit, but you're just not match fit. And then if you and at that level, particularly when you move into MX1, and like I said that, you know, the depth of competition is maybe a bit greater, and you've got any little, if you're not 100%, then that's just gonna show more, and then you're chasing it, aren't you?
The results shows like you can get hurt easier, and that's what it just spiraled with me. I was always trying to come back. I was like, I knew what I could do. I was working hard. I was trying hard, and then it's just, it was just one thing after another. You try harder, and you're less prepared, and that's how it sort of goes in any sport.
And when those 450s bite, they bite hard.
You have to be so prepared.
Oh God, yeah. They scare me. I'm glad I got out of it just when they were coming on to fruition. God, man, I remember when me and Ryan Vose were doing all the Kawasaki testing when they first brought out the brand new model. Me and Ryan were part of the actual test evaluation team. Oh my God. When we first swung our leg over that bike, we both came back in broken English to the Japanese and just basically said, you put that on the market and there's going to be people killing themselves at club meetings. It was so fast, the fastest 450 I've ever ridden.
One way, the problem is they're so good. So they're so fast, they're so good. And then when something goes wrong, it's too late to even realise. You just go, what's happened, sort of thing. Like everything was going so well.
No. But you know, that's the, like you said, I'm really interested about what you said there about the contract, because then that just dumps more pressure on you. Like you're injured, you're out of the game, you're thinking, God, if I don't get back on a bike when I'm losing money, as well as losing money, the fact I'm not racing, I'm going to lose even more.
This in all, it's
it
was that year, and then they still done me. I still got fined at the end of the year, even though I raced all the races, and they agreed that they wouldn't. Because they told me to sit out another race. And then they says that in the end of the year, it's like, well, you sat out that race and you couldn't prove there was a fuel problem with the bike. As we said, well, you know, it's a fuel problem, like you was there. It says you couldn't prove it was a fuel problem. So in the end, they did take the money, but
let's do a few more questions, because I said, you know, well, I obviously don't want to keep you too long anyway, because
no, I've got a bit of time.
Okay, well, it's because there's some good stuff. So John Deep Rose is with that in mind, if you could have gone back down to a 250, with, you know, the age rule stop you doing that, would you have?
Probably not. No. I think when I went up to a 450, I was 23 and I was ready to go 450. I had good contracts to go to a 450. It was sort of double the money that I'd made on a 250 when I went to the 450 class, and also Jeffrey Hurlins was young. He was probably 17, 18 when I was 23, you know, so he was only going to get better. It wasn't like, you know, you can always say, can I stay another year? Jeffrey would have only got better the following year. You know, it wasn't it's a no-brainer. Stay down one more year, you're going to win. Especially that year with having him as a competition, it would have never been that easy, you know.
That's interesting, because Frankie Theaton too here has put exactly that, asking that question, if you'd have stayed in Europe for one more year.
That's different, I think.
You reckon?
When I went 450, I was ready to go 450 and Jeffrey was coming up. And I was 23, you know, I was ready to go 450. I'm at that age sort of thing. And it wasn't that I do ride a 250 well, probably better than I do ride a 450, but it was my time to sort of go 450, you know.
Yeah.
And then, but with the question saying if I'd have stayed in Europe, then that's sort of different, because I was still getting better and better and better. Tyler went to America and he was who I raced. Tony went to the 450. And then the following year, Musquin won the World Championship. And obviously he was amazing that year. There was like, he rode a Honda to start with, didn't he? And then there was all that.
It sounds, the tone in your voice sounds like you believe you would have had him.
Yeah, I would have had him that year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
The last round before in Italy was the final round I done the World Championship. Tyler won the championship. I went 1-1 at my final round in 2008 before leaving to America, and we lapped Musquin. Obviously, he improved dramatically over the time, but he also was riding that Honda.
Yeah,
It wasn't a good bike at the start of the season. Then he even missed 2 rounds, I think, that season because of contract with KTM, and then he signed KTM. But so I think I would have had a legitimate shot at the World Championship. You know, there's injuries and anything can happen, but you never know. But I would like to think, you know, it's nothing's ever there for the taking sort of thing. But I would have been, you know, one of the guys fighting for it. So, but you can never say I would have won or I wouldn't have won, but I would have been right there for, you know, fighting for it.
Yeah. Just looking at some of the other questions here. There's loads coming in now, as I thought there would be. Here we go. Let's go with. Yeah. I just saw one about. Oh, that's quite. Yeah, that's a good one. Just out of interest, Craig Chamberlain. There we go from 772. Did you ever have an opportunity to join Pro Circuit? Because I remember there was some talk about it, wasn't there, at the time, that you was maybe going there, but I guess that's just always speculation with any top rider.
Yeah, when I come back to GPs, I signed with CLS Kawasaki, which would then join forces with Pro Circuit, or sort of they were buying parts from Pro Circuit, basically. But my deal was I was going to race Supercross with Pro Circuit, and then I was going to come back to GP. So I was going to do, because I was still living in America at that point. So I come back, the GP started later. So I didn't come back, I think, to the end of March and then race GP in April. So I was going to do West Coast Supercross with Pro Circuit. That's what I signed to do. But then I came back for a little holiday before Christmas to see my mum and everyone. And I broke my ankle on a BMX. So I had my ankle, I had to have a wire in my ankle. And then I only got back on a bike 2 weeks before Supercross. And then I remember I spent 2 weeks with Sebastian Tortelli training Supercross with Pro Circuit. And then I made the decision that it wasn't worth doing Supercross unless I was fully prepared, and that I'll put all my, you know, eggs into the basket of coming back to the World Championship rather than half-ass a Supercross season when I clearly wasn't prepared. You know, I wasn't. I'd done 2 weeks, so and then if I'd have done well in Supercross, I would have still gone back to Europe, but I may have then gone back to Mitch. But it's sort of how it all went. I went really well in the GPs, and I signed a good contract to stay with CLS again. I think it was just a 1 year to start with, so I signed an extension, and I stayed in GPs, and that was that. But that was the only opportunity with Pro Circuit would have been to race Supercross with Pro Circuit.
Yeah, we're going to get on to Supercross because I definitely want your take on that. But we're going to finish. I'm going to choose about 3 more questions of the people. Sorry, we can't get them through more. We'd just be here all night, which would be great. But we can get Tommy on again another time, I'm sure. Quite a good question, I think, from Justin Harris. What's your opinion on the current thing in the MX2 riders? I guess by that he means, well, I mean, Ben Watson's now moved up, but we've got Conrad in the mix, you know, looking to come on a bit stronger next year. I think obviously Joel Rizzi has got potential and moved into the class with Livy Lancelot's team or whatever. So, you know, you've been there. You've had all that pressure and expectation from British public when you start to do well. I mean, our British fans are incredible. There's no doubt about it. And I think because we're so, you know, we like any nation, I suppose, but we really do want British riders at the forefront, you know, because they come along very often. So what's your take on them? Do you reckon they're going in the right direction without, you know, not cross-examining them too much and pulling them apart too much? But
no, I think Conrad's an unbelievable talent. He has been for ever, do you know, since I think he won a junior world championships, and then when he was in the Europeans with Prado, I think some races even lapped Prado in the stand when they was both on the 125 class. So he's always been amazing. I think he struggles a little bit, obviously mentally, which you've seen at the races, which is a shame. And I think this year, I do think he'll be quite different. I think he's grown up. He's.
Do you reckon that's what it is? Do you reckon that's what it is more than anything? I mean, you know, again, without sounding like I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but you were it was, I'd say, quite obvious from anybody that met you at a young age. You had just this kind of steely, just like you were on a straight track,
Yeah.
You came across like that. It's just like you were single-minded, focused.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't phase me at all. I had no really outside influences at all. It was just that was the goal, and everything was towards that goal. You know, I think it's a little bit different now down the line with social media, etc. And obviously everyone's a little bit different with how they handle the pressure. I sort of thrived off the pressure. You know, my first GP was at the British GP. My first designation was a British designation. My first win was a British GP win. Designations I've always excelled at. But some people are different. You know, I think comrades, everyone has a different, path they go on. And I think his time will come, but it has to come now. You know, I think he's got 2 more years in the 250, and if you'd have asked me 3 years ago, I said he'd been world champion. And he's got everything there to do it. He's so good on a bike. I still think now he's the fastest kid on a 250. You put anyone on a 250, you'll beat him on his day. So I think Conrad's great. Something needs to click. I think working with Stephen Searle to help that. He seems to be building. He seems to be more mentally stronger, and it's just took him a little bit longer, really, which is a shame in some ways, because I think he could have, sort of cashed in if he'd been winning for a few years now already. But I think this year will be a good year for Conrad. And Joel Rizzi, I think, is really fast, really good. I think it's nice that he's gone away to Olivier Lancelot's team, living in France.
Yeah,
I think that'll help him grow. I think I think it broke Conrad a little bit when he went to Holland and rode with efforts and stuff. But I think Joel may be a little bit different. They'll handle that sort of pressure of living abroad, and it will bring him on a little bit. And then
you got others in there, of course, as well. You got Taylor Hamill's going to be, I think, doing.
Yeah, Taylor will be good. I rode with him the other week. He's riding well, so it's a learning curve for Taylor, obviously. The main one's Conrad, really. I think he should be winning races, and I'd like to say fighting for a title. Yeah,
I don't see any reason why not. Okay, we're going to do a couple more. Here's a good question. Going slightly sidetracked, but I guess he wants to know. Wobbs wants to know if you've rung Hinson yet.
Well, I've actually got a book. We haven't done it yet or told anyone, but we got I bought a 252/96 clapped out thing from Portugal, and Wobbs rebuilding it for me now. So we've actually vlogged it. I've been down there, Wobbs. We dropped it off, and he's working his magic on it now. So
good old Wobbles. Good old Wobbles.
To answer his question, no. Surprisingly, I probably don't surprise him, but I haven't rung him yet.
He knows you haven't rung. That's why he put it up there.
He's done it all himself anyway.
Of course, he knows
really email me and say they're sorting it out. So Rob's on it, but I do need to ring Heatson.
Yeah, I'm gonna be calling in on Wob soon. We're working on a bit of a project for Dirt.
He's the man. I went up there. What place he has, and the work he does is second to none.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got that super light brand off the ground as well. Everything else he does. It's a nice one, Wobbs. I like this question. It's a good question from Scott Walker. Retired riders that you wish you could have been teammates with. Got any? Could be from the 90s, 80s.
It's strange because I don't really. Even when I was young, I never really looked up to anyone in racing because we wasn't from racing. My dad didn't care about. My dad didn't have any idols in racing. I just used to race purely because I love riding a motorbike. It wasn't till I was really older. I think I said before to someone that I'd never been to a world championship race until I raced Matchman's Park. I'd never ever been to watch a GP.
That's actually that's pretty unique.
Yeah, because I wasn't ever fussed on watching a race. Like I never watched anyone. I just raced. If Dad said. And Dad wasn't that fussed on watching the fast riders either, sort of thing. He wasn't. If there was an opportunity to me race or watch a race, it would have been weird to go racing 10 out of 10 times. And then I don't know, the teammates sort of overrated, really. Like being a teammate with someone, I think you just, you're not really teammates. You're just there in the other side of the tent the majority of the time. Especially these days, I think it's so separate. I think. Back in the day used to be more where teammates would travel around together, and I think that would have been a more fun time. But in our time, you know, I've had some good teammates over the years. Some that you've had a good battle with. I remember being teammates with Joe Rowlands, was really good. He was really competitive, good in the sand, and I'd go to Holland and he'd bring me on in the stand riding with him. And then Caroli was a mega teammate. You know, he's really down to earth, one of the most down to earth people. And I really like Bob Rochev as well.
Yeah, you're really good friends with Tony.
Yeah,
you went to his wedding and that, didn't you? Everything.
Yeah, so that was nice. And
yeah,
Mrs. gets on with his missus, so it worked.
That's always good.
Yeah,
that helps. That definitely helps.
I don't know, really. I guess there's not really any. I'm not even fast, to be honest.
I guess by that the question is be like, who would be a good laugh, I suppose. But then, you know, as you wind down your career and you're having a bit more fun with it, I suppose you could. Yeah,
I think back in the day it would have been good traveling around with my mum, but
definitely. I can vouch for that.
Yeah,
I mean, I did well with what I had. I never was expecting to be a world champion or whatever, but I certainly, those years of doing GPs and traveling around with Eastie was times I won't forget.
Mega, yeah.
Well, I say I won't forget. Maybe more red wine killing my brain cells, and I might. Here's a good one just to finish off with. There's some great riders coming in, questions coming in. Hopefully, I might get some of these questions afterwards and do a bit of a QA with Tom, and just do a written one with him when he's got the time. So I'll look at some of these questions and we'll do something with Tommy on some of these questions we don't answer. Let's finish with this one. Jaden Murphy. Do you think you could beat Billy Bolt at a Western Beach race? Well, if he gets the start like he did last year, then I'd say yeah.
That'd actually be good, I think. I reckon that'd be quite a close race, but he absolutely loves that race, Billy, for some reason. Like, if you asked him his favourite race of the year, it's Western Beach race 10 out of 10 times.
Is it?
Yeah, he absolutely loves it. But I think he was fast last year. He come from way back, didn't he, to third still? Or was it fourth?
Yeah, I mean, literally, he missed the start for whatever reason, didn't he? I can't remember now. Did he have like a fuel problem or something? And loads of people thought he didn't even cut. And then all from nowhere, he just come round about half a lap around everybody else. It was some ride.
I think it'd be quite good. I don't know if I'm mad enough these days to compete with him around Western, because Billy's a bit wild. He just weaves in around everyone. I'll try and be a bit more technical. I'd probably just have to cut a bit more track than what he does, I guess.
I did see him take a little shortcut. But
he does. I did. From 570th to 17th in one lap.
I didn't squeal on him. But listen, it comes across well. Obviously, you know, you, Bill and Ed, you know, obviously you go and you ride and train and work out of Ed's place. So it looks like we were saying about teammates. Going back to that teammates, he's kind of like a teammate, but not on your team, isn't he?
Yeah, that's mega. Obviously, Billy's like new to our little dynamic. Normally, it's just me and Ed, and then Ed likes enduro now, and then Billy's sort of come on the scene because he was with Jamie Dobb, who lived up the road from us, and then he started coming over to Ed's, and then he's just sound. So it brings that youthful sort of side to it again, because he's a lot younger than what we are now. I think Billy's, I don't know, 23 or something, younger than us anyway. But then it's nice, and it brings something different for me to do the enduro stuff. I'm enjoying that. I got the enduro bike from Honda now. I went to Wales, and then today we went out just messing around. It's nice, you know. It brings the fun back in riding more so, because when I sort of ride, I just normally ride, do my work, go home. Even like Ed was like, do you want to ride mini bikes this? And I'm like, no, I'm done. Like I'm going to ride tomorrow. I've done my riding. I'm home, sort of thing. Where now it's more, I think I'm getting a little bit more relaxed, because obviously I'm only racing the British Championship, and you don't have to put you do put the work in, because like I said earlier, you want to be 100% because you don't want injuries. I'd never put myself on sort of a back foot and race if I wasn't prepared.
No, but you've got a bit more time, in your travel time. You're not doing GPs, are you? So you're not, as soon as you get home, you've got to repack, spend a bit of time, as much time as you can, repack, off you go, another flight. So not doing GPs.
Tuesday, you're not doing nothing. You don't really need a recovery day after a British Champion sort of thing. You can go around and go mountain biking with your friends sort of thing. You don't need, you're not flying in and then getting it back home at 7 o'clock in the evening sort of thing and being knackered. You've just got more free time, which is nice to do. Enjoy actually riding bikes a little bit more.
Yeah, it looks like it in your vlogs, which we're going to talk about. Actually, there's just 2 more questions that come in, so I'm going to do this because and before we get on to Supercross and then all your vlogs. Where was it? Andrew Davis asking this: if you could just relive one memory throughout your racing, just one moment. I don't know if it's a race or a moment.
It'd be Matterley Base in 2012.
Yeah,
but the moments come and go so quick. I remember being sat at the end, like so much relief off me because there was so much pressure that day. I remember being just feeling so sick and so drained, mentally drained before the second race. Because after I got one win out the way, it sort of was like,
yeah. And it was hot.
Huge weight off my shoulders because I'm like, right, I've won once, and I remember saying like, I've give the fans something to cheer for, you know, like they was all happy. I put on a good show for one race. And then I was so mentally drained second race. I was like, okay, just do what you can. And then something must have switched on mentally. Anyway, second race, I didn't put a foot wrong either. I think it was so many laps, and I didn't make one mistake and I ended up winning that as well. So I remember being at the end of the day completely mentally drained, but like, you know, so happy with everything. Signing autographs and stuff, thinking like, yeah, I was the man. Like, how's that happened? How has today sort of gone down so well? And then you wake up the next morning. I remember being sat in my little house in Derby that I used to have. Ed just whatever, I don't know what Ed was doing. He would just be at home, and then my other friends like at work, and I just was sat at home on the sofa on my own. I lived on my own at that time, and just thought, there's no one even to hang out with. Like,
so it's just a massive come down. You've just got this euphoria of having like literally 15,000, 20,000 people all going nuts, leaning over the fence. Everybody wanting to shake your hand.
Next day, texting me like, "No, I can't do nothing. I'm at work." And you're just like, "Fucking hell!" I generally always remember thinking, "Fuck, what a difference like a day makes."
Done it.
So short lived. Everything means so much then, and it's obviously nice memories. But if you're not sort of happy beforehand and you're having a good time, the one race won't make a difference. You know, like if you can't, it has to have a good balance. You know.
Let's go with this final question. It's a tough one. You don't have to answer. Well, you do what you want. I'm not your mum. I'm not going to make you do anything. But I'll pose you the question. You don't have to answer it. Andy McDonald, any riders you didn't really get along with, or you know, that have just kind of
not as much really. I mean, I remember having rivalries. Obviously, that year with Jeffrey, we sort of hated each other.
But that's because of the dynamic of the sport.
I didn't know Jeffrey, you know, I just raced him.
Yeah.
And there was a rivalry there. We hated him. I'd swerve over on him on the start. He would swerve over on me on the start if he got the jump. And then, you know, I remember in 2008 having a real like tussle with Simpson. We always
that was good.
You know, I sort of used to get the better of him. And then when it went to MX1, Sean is good in MX1, you know, and we had some other battles, a little bit of rivalry, but all now a lot more respect. I think there was times where we didn't get on, but he wanted to beat me, I wanted to beat him. We was like the top 2 British riders.
That's just age.
Yeah,
that's just maturity. You learn
you just sort of think, fuck, I don't want to pull up on the line and have someone try and take me out for no reason, sort of thing. Like, I respect what he does. He's trying his best. And you know, you sometimes, a lot of the time, you don't really know the person. You just don't like them on a bike and you want to race them. But at the end of the day, they're all pretty sound people. I mean, as far anyone I've actually got to know that I've raced against, you think he's actually sound, you know. But there's times where you would make a stupid thing because he's took you out once. You think he's a tit, you know, like that sort of thing. And it's easy to make like a spare in a moment decision on a motocross bike, take someone out and then think, fucking hell, that sort of escalated. I didn't mean to hit him that hard. Yeah. I've done it with Bobby one time. I come up the inside and took him out massive, and I thought it wasn't really that bad. It just sort of escalated huge. And he's one of them, like, I really get along with Bobrashev now. But not really, not as such, I think.
No, there's no. It's always been racing incident or a rivalry. There's no long-standing thing that you just don't get on with somebody, and there's a needle to it.
I think I'm not that type of person to be. I think most people say he's all right, sort of thing. He's never.
Ed would argue that, and probably Billy, but you know they're not here to argue.
No, but I just sort of get on with most. I try and get on with most people because it's easier that way. I don't really have anything why I wouldn't. No one's really done nothing to me, and if they don't, there's no reason why they should, and I'm quite happy with that.
So let's talk Supercross then. Let's just finish off the last 5-10 minutes with that. What's your take on it? Because you like you said, you went there, you went to America, you earned the right to go there with a decent deal and whatever. But the Supercross side of it, because of I guess because of the injury and whatever, didn't really work out for you. But you did you do? If I remember right, you did a couple, didn't you, before you got injured? Or not? Remind me.
Different with the year I raced Supercross. So when I went to America, I signed for MDK. MDK then stopped running a team, and I was running for the factory KTM team. At that time, the economy went really bad. KTM wanted out of the contract, so they didn't run a team. But I had an existing contract. And I had an existing contract. Yeah. So in the end, they honoured that contract, but they honoured the contract, but it was just me on a team. So it would have been nice for me when I went into Supercross to have teammates to ride with, race with, train with, sort of thing. But sort of doing it on our own, and that was before Roger DaCosta and those guys. They all come the year after I left. KTM sort of rebuilt the team.
Yeah.
And that was when Musquin went and Roxon went. But I just trained. I had Casey Light was my team manager, and I had a mechanic out there as well. So Casey Light helped me a little bit with the Supercross. Obviously, he was good at Supercross. I'm not sure if he won a lights championship. I think.
He did. I'm sure, pretty certainly did. Well, he was certainly in contention for one.
Yeah,
I remember that. He won it.
And then anyway, I got ready for Supercross like anyone else. And in the first round, I got an 8th, and the second round, I got 7th. No, sorry. The first round I got 7th. Second round I got an 8th, and the third round that's when I crashed in the corner at Anaheim and hurt my shoulder. But I actually felt pretty good at Supercross when I rode in as a kid in my garden. I sort of had like my track was quite jumpy, and then when I got to like 13, 14, sort of built a little Supercross track. It just sort of escalated, and then before we knew it, we had like a mini Supercross track. So I didn't struggle with Supercross at all. I actually think, for someone coming over from Europe, I got on quite well. I think if I look at my times, I did it.
Yeah. Do you think then now you've done it? Now you've done it. Do you think it's a skill set that you have to know or learn?
No.
Young? You reckon European riders can just
Tyler Ratchet won a race in Supercross, and Tyler's not sort of Supercross sort of guy. He worked hard. No. And he won a race. He won a Supercross race. So it's not, and he went.
The reason I say that, Tommy, is because some other Europeans that have gone over and done well at Supercross, most of them have been like French or European, where they've done some Supercross series or raced European Supercross at a younger age, or done Bercy or done the French Championship.
I think I was just naturally quite good at Supercross, to be fair. That little track, and I'm quite naturally good on a bike. I think that I can I can get on with it, and if I put the effort into it like I did, it can come. I mean, I didn't struggle with it at all. I thought I actually really enjoyed it. It's just
straight up unfortunate, really. So I mean, it wasn't you feel you didn't crash because you were out of your depth doing Supercross.
No,
you just crashed. Yeah,
and if you look at the results, when I got 8th, I think Tickle was behind me, and I mean, Anstey was in it that year as well with me. I think Hansen finished 6th when I finished 7th. That was a good class. It was good. And I was right there. I think my times I've looked at my times. I wasn't even a second off in any of the sessions. I was right there. So to come straight in from nothing and get a 7th, quite proud of that,
Yeah, fair play. And like I said, obviously we got before we get onto the vlog actually, and what the next one, because you just released it today. Let's actually just talk about the current Supercross at the minute. So I know, like everybody else, I'm sure you've been watching it. Like you said, you might not have gone to a GP until you actually race one, but surely you've been watching a bit of the Supercross. Yeah, please tell me you have. Otherwise, we won't even bother doing this bit.
No, I watch. I used to go.
What do you reckon of it then at the minute? Like, as it. I mean, obviously we're still early stages, but it looks like Kenny is on a bit of a roll. Do you reckon?
Yeah, he looks mega, doesn't he?
Do you reckon they're going to stop him? I personally don't. I think he's mentally over. I know there's a long way going, but mentally, I think he's got the upper hand over all of them except for Cooper Webb. That's my opinion.
Cooper Webb,
because he's just really mentally strong.
Yeah. I think Cooper Webb can fight with him, but other than that, I think Ken's got it sort of sewn up, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's riding. His starts are amazing. Yeah, you go. What you got to do? You got to feed the baby.
No, I just need a drink. My throat is getting a bit dry talking too much.
Oh, you are, yeah. Well, I'm still knocking back the old St. Joseph 2005 from the Rhone Valley.
No, so I think Ken just looks good, doesn't he, on the bike? It looks easy for him.
Well, listen, this is what I'm going to ask you. I know he's on a factory bike, but I got to say, just watching your videos and everything else, that new Honda, and it's not very often you can say this, I don't think, but I think you can actually see from people riding it in the videos, not just Rox and yourself, everybody, it looks such an improved bike. It just seems to be, I don't know, just more stable and easy to flick around. I mean, you tell me.
With him in Supercross, and he's even said it. He actually even said he struggled with last year's bike, which is quite surprising to hear him say that. But I didn't struggle with last year's bike. I thought that bike was good. But I do believe that this year's bike is a lot better. So, if that is the reason for him, then whatever it's done and they've done with that bike, it's working, isn't it? But as a standard bike, I think it tracks so much better and turns a lot better mid-corner and tracks out the corners hugely better. So I'm really happy with it. But I think the only one that can stop Ken at the minute is Cooper Webb, just because he's just a machine, isn't he? Like, you just see him get that bit between his teeth. It wasn't this weekend, it was the weekend before, and I was just thinking, get closer this last lap, because then he's going to have a go and it'd be exciting. Yeah. But he didn't quite make enough to get close enough to make the pass. But it's always mega when he's in second place and Ken's winning. Brilliant.
I mean, you know what we're saying about what you was earlier on about MX1, for example, in GPs. Like this year, the depth in certainly in the main class in Supercross, they're all the starts just seem more important than ever, and that seems to be Tomac's issue at the minute. He's just not getting with them, is he? Like he's just not getting out the gate.
It's nuts. You see, I think it's like 1 second separates 18 people in qualifying, and you see, it's just mad, isn't it? But it's this sort of
good, though. Makes it great
at the top though. Somehow, Rock looks so good at the start, and then Webb's somehow got his start sorted as well. So
it's going to be good.
And then you've always got. It's hard to say about the riders. I mean, it's easy to talk about Cooper and Kenny because they're doing good, but I don't like to sort of talk too much about, because you never know what's going on in someone's background. You know, as a rider, I know, and someone says, "Oh, he don't look good," or "He's struggling," and there's normally a reason behind it. And everyone's out there, like you've obviously had Dean. He's had his instance this year, but I sort of know how hard Dean works, and he's done everything this year with Alden Baker. And
well, listen, I've asked you this when we did the Man in the Van at the beginning of last season, before last season got. Well, the British anyway. We were sat in the van, weren't we, at Hawkstone in the pissing rain? And I asked you a question about, obviously, and it's a big thing in the news at the minute, isn't it? Like social media, and now people can get on your case and whatever. And so on that side of it, Al, and I'm not saying that's affecting it, but Dean's mentally strong as well. But obviously, he come under some big scrutiny with the whole blue flag thing and all that.
Yeah,
did you speak to him about that?
Most days he'll probably be upset that I've not FaceTimed today. He gets a bit upset. Like that.
Does he?
Yeah. But he was really down about the whole thing. It's just not nice, is it? It's just not what you want to hear. You don't want people. He's sort of friendly, happy-go-lucky, but works a lot harder than what everyone thinks he does. I think because he jokes around a little bit.
Yeah, because he's got that kind of
he's got that persona. But honestly, there's no one that works harder than what he does, and especially come back from what he's done. So to get that negative comment when he said even to me like, "Fuck, I didn't know he was there," sort of thing. Like, yeah, now I should have been more aware, but I didn't know it happened. Like he says, why the fuck do I want to be that guy that's getting lapped and holding up the leaders. Like, I'll just pull out the way. No one wants to be that rider. So it was just unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time. And it happens, sort of thing. But then to get the abuse you sort of get off that when you've done everything you can, you've put all you're going into the race to have a good race and do the best yourself, and you're coming out with 10,000 people slagging you off. It's just like,
how do you deal with it, Tommy? How do you deal with it? Because at the minute,
well, I don't.
No, I know, but you did for a while. You know, numerous things when at the Nations, which I've never understood, because you've always performed incredible for the Nation. I never understood that, because you've always been right at the sharp end and delivered and done so well for Team GB. But you know, now the way the sport is and a modern, you know, society and a rider, you and I both know, like, social media is a big part of what sponsors want. So you can't even avoid going on social media because it's part of it's almost part of your some of your contracts now.
Yeah.
So and then you're on there and you got people, you know, how do you just got to somehow find a way, I suppose, of having a snap point in your head where you just go, I'm not reading that shit anymore.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard because you can have 10 positive comments, one negative. It's easy to read into that one negative.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when it's going bad, it's going bad, like, you don't so much, you get the odd negative comment if you say you're winning a race and then someone goes, well, you're shit. You just go, well, I'm not, I've just won the race, sort of thing. Like, you're just but when you're actually struggling and then you get people like give up, useless, like retire, sort of like, fucking hell, mate. Like, but I'm in a struggle anyway. Like, I know what's going on here, and I'm trying. So it's just, you just have to. Yeah, it's strange why people do it. I think you're so accessible, and it's just some sort of click of it.
It's easy, isn't it? It's just easy. And a lot.
I'd never do it to someone that I didn't know. I'd never just slag them off. It's just not who I am.
It's just the ones you do know.
Yeah, the ones I do know, I'll slag off all day long.
You have. I will give you this. I will, hands up. I will categorically give you this. From the moment we met at Matchams back in whatever it was, can't even remember. I don't even want to know. Actually, it seems so long ago. I feel old. For a kid of 14 years of age, you have got brilliant sarcasm, which I don't care what anybody says about it being the lowest form of wit. No, your sarcasm levels are great.
Yeah, no, it's good. I can take it. I can give it and take it, but I think with that sort of thing, it affects different people. I remember doing the Destinations with Ben Watson in Redbud, and he says, if I was you, like, the amount of abuse you've had coming into this race, he says, I would just say to Mark, I'm not racing. Like, I can't race. He says, I just wouldn't even be able to get on the start line. But it was sort of, I was a little bit older, than Ben. He was still young at the time. To be fair, the Destination one is a bit shit because you don't ask to get chosen to ride for the team. Like, before there was actually a little clip that we was doing for the America stuff, and Ed put out there, and it says, "Oh, you're riding for Destinations," and it was like, well, I think I said in a little thing, well, yeah, like, obviously, who else are they going to pick, sort of thing, because I was doing well in America, but then it was quite an obvious, I was going to go race the country. I was I was doing well, and there wasn't as many, say, top riders at that level at that time. So we're quite lucky that we have a few when it comes to Destination. But a lot of it, you just see some of the comments that people have their favourite rider and they want to big up their favourite rider, but at the same time they put down someone else. It's just the way it comes across. Like, you're like, well, Nathan Watt should be doing it. He'd fucking smoke Tommy Searle. Yeah. You're like, well, not necessarily, but he might do it at the same time. But you don't need to put another rider down to big another rider up. You can just say, I think Nathan Ryden deserves a shot. And a lot of us deserve the shot, like, there's no reason a rider doesn't. But I think it's just one of those things, sometimes when you're in a bit of a down and you're struggling, they get you down a little bit. But if you're at the high, you can sort of look past it. But it's just one of those things, I think, in modern day, that you're not going to get rid of it. And it's
I had a little moment there, Thomas, talking to you then. I just drifted away a little bit then. I'll tell you why, because I was listening to you talk, and like everybody else watching, and then I just suddenly went back to when I first interviewed you and spoke to you at Matchams, and thinking the journey and how how different you are, yet the same. And that, that happens to everybody that gets older. I appreciate that, but how you talk well, you got that experience, and yet talking to you then, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like they're all short, sharp, one question, one-word answers, all that kind of stuff. And here you are with a really solid career, like behind you.
I wouldn't change much that I've done, but it's it does go so quickly. You think even now, like, I don't know, the 250 riders, and it was when the age rule comes and you say Mel Pocock or someone, I'd say, like, you're too old now to ride a 250.
Yeah.
And then you think of him as, I'm older than Mel, but you'd think of him as younger because he's that much younger. And then you go, fuck me, you can't even race a 250 anymore. Like, and then all of a sudden he's got 2 kids now and he's 28 or however old. It goes so quick. And you need to. That's why this America vlog stuff was so nice.
30 creeps up on you so fast. You're in your 20s, and then all of a sudden, bang, you're the other side of 30, and then you're getting aches and pains, and you're thinking, "God, I'm getting towards the end of this."
Yeah, the aches and pains, they take its toll on you when you get past 30. But it's goes so quick, and
that's why you just gotta say it. So let's finish with that. Let's finish about your vlogs, because they must be cool, literally putting them together with Ed, because you're probably watching footage you haven't seen in ages and thinking, look at me there. Admittedly, that first one with the American thing, you were right to question the sunglasses. I mean
I would put it in. Ed has most of the final say on the edits. I mean, he sort of edits it and I go, you can't put it in, but he's looking at it from a second sort of perspective, and I said, you can't put that thing in about ladies. I was like, I can't.
That was brilliant.
Up, and I wanted to sort of run out the house. And he's like, nah, you got to put it in. Like, people are understand you're a twat at 18. I was like, well, yeah, but I could do without the abuse, sort of thing. And people got it, and a lot of people says, yeah, well, we remember us at 18. Like, I'm glad someone didn't follow us around with a camera.
Yeah.
But looking back on the American stuff, how long ago it is, and how good a time we had. I'm lucky to have that camera. Lucky to have Ed out there, because even, say like Dungey won the championship that year. He's probably not got the footage of everything that happened throughout his year. And it's so nice for me to look back on and our life in America as kids. And so just that them vlogs are out there now, it's mega. For me to look back, and the little man's like 6 years old, I can say, like, fucking hell, look, that's what I did. I was in America, and it might show his mate. So it's nice that it's got out there, and it was mega for us to watch back. Like, even Ed were like, bloody hell. And Ed's mum, she's watched it and gone, what was you doing out there at that age? Like, she was like, how did we let you stay out there? And you was doing all this sort of stuff. So it's mega, like, really enjoying it. And it's I think a lot of the kids say,
it's times you never get back. And that's the point. Life improves, and there's many other ways that as you get older, happiness comes along and in forms of love and having kids and all that. But you can never replicate that.
And that's a nice little way
that whole thing of getting out in the big wide world and finding out what it's all about. And the best way to do that is to obviously, release the shackles of home, and go and see it and actually learn by fucking up and
that's what we did. It was not, because if you see an 18-year-old kid now, you look at him and then you think, look at him, say like Safe's brother. I don't know how old he is now, 20 now, but I remember thinking a couple of years ago, and I said to Safe, because she wasn't around when I'd done any of that sort of stuff, and I said, your brother's 18. I said, I moved to America at 18, and he's there upstairs on his PlayStation, and I said, like, and I just said, we left, and just veered off on our own. Like, mum and dad didn't come, no one come. We just went to America. You was around that time, and I just up to left, sort of thing. And it's like, I wasn't over mature or anything for my age. I just had that goal of I'm racing in America, and went there and done it. And to watch it all back's been mega.
So listen, Tommy, for those that haven't watched it, I got to be honest, I haven't had a chance to watch the second episode yet. So I'm actually gonna go and watch it, and I straight up have to watch it. The first one was brilliant, not what I was expecting. I don't know why. I thought it was going to be more about your race and whatever, but I'm glad Ed has put in all those bits.
I think the second
that's actually the good bits. That's actually the good bits, all that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, the second one's a little bit more racing, but a bit more, the same sort of thing, but more race inside of it, more race footage.
So where can people see it? Where can they go and see it? You got obviously you got a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, it's just my YouTube channel, Tommy Searle. I think that's it, 100
Yeah.
maybe, or Tommy Searle.
They punch it in.
But I'm just trying to do something different. Ed's actually been on about it for ages because they launched Billy's one through Kex, because obviously Ed's got the company with Kex, does the underwear. And then he done that one for Billy, the Forgotten Round. He done a big YouTube at the night. And then he started doing his vlogs, and he was saying all year last year, like, you need to do it, you need to do it. And I was just, I just can't do it. Like, I don't watch YouTube.
He's got the right man for the job. He's got it all documented. And I guess he wants to keep all his video and skills in and his editing skills, you know.
Yeah, he helps me massively with it. So without Ed, I wouldn't do it really.
Yeah.
And he says, just do it. Like, just film what you can film, and I'll put stuff together. Like, what you got to lose from it. And I think it's opened massive doors, like new doors. You know, I think the way it's all going in the industry, you know, Instagram and stuff's good, but if someone watches a YouTube video, they're watching 16 minutes of you with all your team sponsors, and you can talk freely. You can tell people about your sponsors. They get to see a little bit of your life, and they get to see more you rather than just a picture on Instagram, you know.
And I remember we spoke back at Hawkstone at the beginning of last year, and we, in that Man in the Van, we spoke about, you know, plans for when you quit racing or whatever. So in that sense, it's also good because it's kind of keeping your profile up for that, for when that time comes, because, you know, you're not going to ride forever. That time will come, and it will come soon. I don't know how soon, but it will come soon where you go, I'm done. And then you're going to make decisions on, like you said before, I remember you saying that, you know, you'd like to stay involved with it somehow, either coaching riders or whatever. So in that sense, you can keep that going along and still have that profile.
I think it's nice. I've had nothing but positive comments for the YouTube stuff, which is really, really nice. You know, I think anyone that's negative towards it is either, you know, bitter about it for some reason, or just doesn't get it. You know, like, what harm can you do unless you're coming across like a tit, or do it. But if someone doesn't like you, then don't watch it. You know, but you know, support it if you watch it. And we're trying to do something that's a little bit different. I think no one really in the UK does it. Show it behind the scenes. Just trying to do a little bit different. You know, everyone puts a pick up, and you can edit a 5-minute, 50-second clip of ripping a few corners and scrubbing some jumps. But I'm fortunate enough to have that track up at Ed's. And,
you've got a couple of other co-stars, which makes it cool. You know, like I said, your dynamic, your relationship with Billy, who either way you look at it, you know, he's definitely got something about it, got a good character. Obviously, Ed's known you for ages, so the relationship between you two and the sarcasm and the banter and whatever, it's a good watch, you know. Certainly,
different. Like, a lot of people have said, like, "Fuck, you've always looked so pissed off all the time and like not approachable." True. Thought you was moody, like always thought you was a tosser.
But that is true. That is true. That is true. Until you get to know you. And I get why you don't open up to everybody, because you can't, because you've got a job to do.
No,
you've got to bear in mind, most people see you at work.
Yeah. I've had comments like that. I always thought you was a tosser. Sorry about this opinion. You're actually sound. Do you know, like, there's been probably 20 odd comments like that. And but it is hard at the races. I even get my mum and dad sometimes come to the races, and mum's like, like, we come to the races to watch you, and you
don't talk
to us. And I'm like, it's difficult, mum. She's like, well, you talk to him, and he's just a stranger. And I'm like, yeah, but he's come up to me and he said hello, and I've sort of got to make the effort because I'm at the track, you know. This is my job here, but I don't see my mum and dad that often, purely because they live 3 hours away, and I'm always busy flying here and there. So when they make the effort to come to a race, and then I don't get to spend as much time as what I'd like with them, mum sort of sometimes gets a bit pissed off. She's like, we don't talk enough. We've drove to Holland to watch you today. I'm like, I know, but the Kawasaki blokes here or the Honda blokes here, and they've come over in the morning, and before I know it, then I want to sleep, and then I want to eat, and then before you know it, day's done. So it's difficult at races to get. You're just there to do a job, aren't you? Like, now a little bit more, I can enjoy myself.
No, you can. Last time I spoke to you properly at an event was the last MX Nationals last year at Fat Cap. And obviously, you know, you had Elfie there and whatever, and you were going for that championship. And actually the contrast, I remember when you wrapped up the British Championship at Landrake, things were a little bit more tense there. But then when I saw you at Fat Cat, you know, you were just, it was like the racing was just like, whatever, you know, having the family there.
Yeah, it is a little bit like that for me now. Not like whatever the racing, but
no, I know, but
I've
it takes your mind off it.
I was racing with an injury, so that was a bit more tense, and I was just pissed. I was having to race through my shoulder; I could barely move it. But Fat Cats are now in the MX Nationals. I love racing, or I wouldn't do it. Now what I'm getting out from it, like money wise or whatever, it's not relevant. It's not huge amounts. It's not life changing amounts. But I love racing. I love going practicing. I love being at a track with Billy, Ed in the summer.
That is so cool because as we all know, and we're not going to get into it regards to the figures, you know, in those early years doing GPs and whatever, that's when you make the money that is enough to influence and make a difference on your life. You know, and fair play, you earned it, you cracked on, you had tunnel vision to get to that level. I mean, you know, didn't quite make, but it's not to be sniffed at, is it? 3 times, you know, like being that high up in the second in the world. And it's great to hear that, like, you still love doing what you're doing, and you're not like, well, I could pack this in now. You still love being at the races, probably maybe more now than before, because you're not.
Yeah, there was so much in the GPs where I really didn't enjoy being at the races, especially when I've carried an injury for a lot of times. You know, like racing with injuries, that's really mentally difficult to do that. And then sometimes I've been on a team where I've felt like, you know, the bikes had problems, or I felt like I could have been better. I could have done better with a bike. Some more so in the MX1 class, certain years, not all the years. Or you've had problems, and that's a bit frustrating. But at the same time, normally the team you're on, they're trying their best. They're doing what they can. They're not going, we're giving him a shit bike for this reason or that reason. Everyone's out there trying to put their best foot forward, you know. But that's mentally difficult at some of the races when you keep building yourself up in the week, working hard, and then you sort of hitting your head against a brick wall at the weekends. But and that's why I stepped away from GPs. You know, you saw the difference when I jumped on that factory bike on the end of the year at GPs. I think I got 5th in my first race and almost set the best lap of the race. So I think a lot of riders out there can do it on the right bike and the right team around them. It's massive now. But for me, at British Championship level, I enjoy going racing. I know the best times in my career have been. You know, I'm not going to win GPs now. I'm not fighting for a world championship. I'm racing at British Championship level on a British Championship team, and I just enjoy it. You know, like if I win,
you're still obviously clearly you're still focused to win, and that's the main thing.
But then I've sort of not going to. There's times before where I'd be in tears on the way home because I haven't won. Do you know, I'm not going to go home crying because I've not won the race. If I feel like I've trained hard and I ride, I'm obviously going to be pissed off if you have a bad race. It's just natural. But at the same time, I want to enjoy. If I don't enjoy going to races at a British level, then I'll stop. Because I do it because I enjoy it now.
Well, we certainly enjoy you having back in the UK, and quite a few promoters commented on that. Right, I'm going to let you go because you've been talking loads, probably got a sore throat. I really appreciate you giving up your time because obviously, you know, we tried to get this on last week, but fair play for coming on.
Yeah, that's mega.
And talking so in depth, actually. I've really, obviously, the last time we spoke was Man in the Van, which was more relevant and recent, but these, you know, good to get down to the history of it and talk about your career. Before you go, very quickly, a simple question. Who's going to win the East Coast Lights?
Is that the East Coast?
No. Obviously, West is starting this weekend. So do you reckon Nichols is going to hold on to it, isn't he? They've all been beating themselves up, haven't they? Like about
Lawrence. He's more mentally strong than the rest of them, I think. Currently.
Jet Lawrence is a boy, though, isn't he?
What's that?
Jet Lawrence is a bit of a lad.
Yeah, he will be, isn't he? But he can't win this year. He's too far behind now.
Yeah.
But he's the man, obviously, like in the future.
Yeah.
And then West, I wouldn't even know. I don't even know he's racing. I wouldn't even like to guess. And then
Max is going to be coming back soon. I
really hope Max does well. It's a shame. I was gutted for him really because I think it's brave of him to go back over to America.
Yeah.
And I think it's mega he's out there giving it a good go. And I think obviously he's on that team, which is it's not one of the best teams. Don't get me like, it's not a bad team. I think they're all, like I said before, that every team's trying their best and the bike's good. But the Suzuki's 15 years old. You know, like they're not getting anything new for it. So I think what he done just last year in outdoors was pretty impressive on that bike. And yeah, I just hope.
Well, he's going to be back soon. I think he's going to be back for Daytona. I was actually chatting to him today. He was maybe even going to come on today, but because of the hour difference, while we've been chatting, he's been out riding.
No, I really hope he does. I hope he just gets through the Supercross and then he can smash it outdoors and get a good
deal. Yeah.
Well, I don't think his team's bad now, but I think there's obviously better teams out there. And Max is very structured, and I think if his team's not perfect, it'll mentally play on his mind because he likes. He likes how structured stuff is. He likes to do his job, turn up, and everything be right. So I just think he can do good. He's a good rider. And it works really hard. So
we're going to be cheering for him. Obviously, it was good to have some Brits involved. We always cheer on Dean, obviously, but it was good while Woodcock was doing it as well. That gave us a little bit. Yeah,
he done really, really well. Shame he got in actually.
Yeah, well, he's been walking. He's been walking around Essex. He's been walking around
a little bit.
He's been walking around Southend with a walking stick like an old man, getting movement back. So
it was a shame. I've never seen him ride as good as what he did. And more so, I think he must have just grown up and he was that much more confident. You could just see it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Year before he was fast, he'd get to the start and shit himself and wouldn't go out the start, and then just said he got a bad start. But this year he actually had a go, and I think it was Mickey, the California Motocross Holidays, and him just doing it on their own was good. I told him he should have vlogged the whole lot.
Yeah.
Should have gone out there with the camera. Says people know you've done it and they see you, and look how much support he got just from the British people, just having a British rider out there racing Supercross.
Well, hopefully he'll listen to you, because I said the same thing and he didn't listen to me either.
No, I think now he's getting it. He's one of the people that was a bit bitter, but it's just like, nah, you're vlogging, that shit. And I said, nah, I says, you do that when you go out there and do what you've did. You do what you've done, which was good, you know, like. But if people want to see how you did it, we see you on a Saturday, but who's done it all? It's nice to see. If you put it out there, someone will watch it. If they don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
Well, I'm sure he will when he goes back to do it next year, which is very much the plan.
Yeah, he definitely needs to, because I think he made massive.
Yeah,
good, really, really good.
All right, Tom. Listen, I won't keep you any longer, mate. I really appreciate it. We've been talking for nearly an hour and a half, and I wasn't expecting that. So I hope everybody that's been watching is real insight into how it's been, and going forward as well. So listen, hopefully we get to see you at a track soon. I don't know when that will be, but that's another different conversation altogether. But keep up the good work. I'm looking forward to the watching the vlogs. I shall go and watch this second one. Dodgy shades and all, and haircuts for that matter. I can't knock the haircuts though.
People look, wouldn't it, at the time? We look awful now, but everyone had the same trim.
Tommy, I had hair down to my nipples.
Oh, really?
That's all you need to know. And look. All right? That's all you need to know. Don't be embarrassed by a haircut.
All right, mate. Good stuff.
All right. Get out of there. Yeah. Take care, mate. Speak to you soon.
Yeah,
right, there we go. Tommy's gone. That's it. Well, that was great. I wasn't sure how much we was going to talk to Tommy and how much we want to talk about his career, particularly when he's putting it all on vlogs or whatever, but that was great. A real good catch-up, because I've always wanted to have a proper catch-up with Tommy. Was going to plan to do it later in the year, but obviously with lockdown, we decided we'd get him on now and get some content out there while there's not much going on. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Remember, that's what we're trying to do with this show. When we do start riding and racing, which is what the plan is, the plan for this Dirty Talk show is to basically come on every week and discuss what's gone on at the weekend, talking about British motocross, what's gone on at a British, a GP, Supercross, AMA. But obviously at the minute, it's proven a little bit more problematic to pull these together because there's nothing really happening. So that's why we've been talking about Tommy's career. But please keep tuning in, following us at Dirt Hub. Obviously, when we do start a race season, I'm going to be doing these every Monday, and we're going to basically chew the fat on all incidents that happened over the weekend in world motocross, enduro, everything. So stick with us at the minute. we're just trying to stretch content out. It's not easy when there's not much racing going on, but really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to polish off. As you can see, the heating's on. I'm burning up my St. Joseph 2005 vintage is going down a storm. I'm going to go and watch Tommy's vlog. And that's it. I'll be back next Monday. Got a fingers crossed. It's all booked in, so hopefully he'll turn up. Got a great guest, somebody who's actively involved, very actively involved with AMA Supercross coming on next Monday. I won't let the cat out of the bag just yet. We'll promote it in the week and let you know who that guest is going to be. But a real insight into AMA Supercross coming at you next Monday. So come and join us for that. In the meantime, once again, thanks very much to Bell Helmets and everybody at RFX getting us involved with us. And of course, FXR for getting behind what we do as well. That's it. I'm done. Have a good week, everybody. Hang in there. Hopefully, Bojo Boris will bring us some good news next week with his announcement, with a plan out of getting out and getting back riding. Because my God, we're getting desperate. We need it. So in the meantime, be kind to each other. Hang in there. We'll be riding soon, I'm sure. All the best, people. And I'll see you next week. I'm out of here. Till then, stay safe.